You're listening to the PlantX podcast, the digital face of the plant-based community. Join us as we explore the inner workings of all things plant-based, from the products and lifestyles to the people behind them. Each week, we'll be touching on what's new in the ever-expanding world of PlantX and chat with everyone from entrepreneurs and chefs to nutritionists and scientists. Whether you follow a strict plant-based diet or just want to learn more, you're invited. Now welcome our host, the man who combined his love of e-commerce and the plant-based lifestyle to create PlantX, Sean Dollinger.
Hey everyone, welcome to our 11th episode of the PlantX Vodcast, and broadcasting today from Vancouver, BC. We have a great sunny day here, which is wonderful this time of year in Canada. And this morning I woke up to one of the most beautiful emails that I've received from Holger, who's an investor in our company. His daughter just wrote that she loves what we're doing for the world and everything that we're doing and trying to change lives and educate and all that type of great stuff. So it was put an extra big smile on my face today. And this week was an extremely busy one. Normally, I'm really used to helping build out the whole e-commerce platform. Our CEO, Julia, does a wonderful job in running the company from top level. And this week, it was a lot of investors calling in, speaking to us, asking a lot of questions. We had announced that raise of $10 million, ended up getting filled to 11.5, and the book was over $25 million. But speaking to all of these investors, being able to share the story, probably spoke to people who manage over $20 billion, and to be able to connect and share our vision and why I originally founded the company was a really great feeling. And one thing that probably our customers, investors, and shareholders realized, and this, for me, it's an organic education process, and I'm really on the fly when things come in, and being able to take a concept, move it into an idea. We are now being seen as a platform that has pieces of education, and our friends over at Above Foods, Lionel Cambitz, who founded that company, they were nice enough to send this parcel over to my house of all their new and upcoming products. And we did a virtual cooking last night, and it was amazing that they're looking at PlantX as this education piece, this resource to make sure that when they come out with their products, that they're absolutely perfect. And I think they're doing a wonderful job over there. Their head creation officer, Marty, the food, the way that it came out for me trying it firsthand was phenomenal. And just so everybody knows what PlantX is all about, I keep getting asked that a lot. We're really your one-stop shop for everything plant-based. And it goes back to education at the end of the day. Since we're in such a new environment, it goes back to when Apple was making their move to take away market share from Microsoft on the operating system for home use. It all had to start as an education piece at the end of the day to be able to get people comfortable to make that transition. And that's how we see ourselves. We really need to capture the consumer, educate them, and then be able to bring them the most interesting products coming out. And literally, we're getting probably 50 to 100 inquiries a week about products that want to be added to our platform. So we just love being this education tool. And I got asked the other day also, what's up with the brick and mortar stores? But again, these brick and mortar stores act as our education centers and as a franchise model. And eventually we would love to have all of these different brick and mortar stores that we don't own, but that we educate through, that our vision from the top is being broadcasted out around North America to begin with. So just a little bit of context on that. And typically on our show, we have a lot of people related to the actual platform. We do this podcast to show consumers, our customers, et cetera, what we're all about, as well as our shareholders and investors. But as a publicly traded company, it's important that we show the two sides to it. So up to now, I'd say our first 10 episodes of our podcast has really been about what the platform's all about, our partners, how we're growing so rapidly. But today, we're bringing you someone that we think is perhaps the most educated person in the US as far as startups and small caps and medium caps go, identifying the true leaders out there before they actually become the leaders. And we're really, really excited to have Daniel Ameduri from Future Money Trends on the show today. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. And Daniel is president of Future Money Trends. And Daniel, we always start our podcasts by asking, how do you take your coffee?
Well, if I'm up first, it's a Keurig. If my wife's up first, it's an amazing French press.
Cool. So sometimes you sleep in a little bit to get that?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I actually do a little sound therapy in the morning. So if I wake up a little later, usually, especially on like a Saturday or Sunday, I wake up to a wonderful French press made by my wife.
Awesome. And I know you've had an unbelievable journey. What's led you to your path? What's going on over there?
You know, I've always been fascinated with entrepreneurship and investing, and started buying real estate right at 18 years old, and eventually a blog in 2009 that morphed into a newsletter business, and eventually started investing in microcap companies in 2012, 2011 timeframe. And of course, had to learn a lot of hard lessons, and went through that phase. But now I run two different companies. One is a publishing company. One is also an investment company where basically more of like a family office style, where we don't have any outside investors' money, just me and my two partners. And we're very focused on finding exceptional companies that we can partner with and help build their shareholder base through the marketing company, but also help them, give them consultation and just basically make sure that they have everything they need. Because it's, when you go from private company to public and you're dealing with, outside investors, it's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I invest in many companies as well. And watching some of the things that you do 100%, it is different. It's a different philosophy 100%. And have you been involved with any of the plant-based companies yet coming out, or, any that have really caught your eye?
We were one of the first investors into the Very Good Foods company, and my publishing company also helped, build their initial shareholder base. So that is the first one. I have, personally in my life, been eating whole foods for about 10 years. In 2009, my mom got cancer, and that kind of led me on this journey of plant-based food, which is kind of now it's more mainstream. Even McDonald's is having a plant McBurger, but I'm not 100% vegetarian. I've tried a few times, but just this whole space, I see this trend. I love the growth, and I'm invested in some vertical farming as well that are private, but this is definitely something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, awesome. And I know that we've spoken a whole bunch, and I definitely feel the passion. And maybe you could share with the investor shareholders what attracted you to PlantX, why you have the possibility to work with any company you choose, and there's some phenomenal companies out there already in the plant-based world. What attracted you to us? What do you think about PlantX as a whole?
So PlantX has great revenue already. It's going to have phenomenal revenue next year. The market cap, in my opinion, was absurdly low relative to the quality of business I'm buying and its future and expected revenues for 2021. But what attracts me to all companies, or at least because you get pitched every day when you're a venture capitalist, and it's easy to say no to 90% of them. And then you look at that other 10%, and you'll end up only dealing with maybe half of to 1%. And the reason I like PlantX was the people. What I have learned in the micro cap investment and small cap investment, you have to focus on the people. You can find a lot of great companies. You can find a lot of great products. But if you don't have the right people and the right management running these companies, they inevitably either go away or become, one of those times where you lose money. I'll give you a great example. I learned this in 2012. I invested in a company, had a great management team, and it was trading for about 60 cents. I'd invested in another company, had a great product. It was revenue. I mean, it was just so much more advanced, but it didn't have the management. That company today, the other company that had way less than them, but had the right people is on the New York Stock Exchange trading for about $4 today. And so when I look at PlantX and I look at the resumes, I look at you personally, what you've accomplished. And also, you're not somebody who's chasing the plant-based momentum, the plant-based theme here and trend. You were in this way before it was cool. So just that your ties to the community, your passion, and your resume, you make it a must-own for me.
Thanks, and I definitely agree with you. Management teams, the people behind a company could be a great concept, but if it doesn't have the team to execute, big deal, right? 100% agree. And as you know, in the last couple of weeks, we got our OTC listing. Why do you feel that's important for a microcap company out of Canada or a publicly traded company in Canada?
Well, there's 330 million reasons why. And it's clearly the US population. So it's 10 times larger than Canada. US investors often have a great difficulty purchasing something on the CSE, or any Canadian stock really, or any foreign issuer. So now that it has an OTC listing, it's considered an ADR in the US. US investors can buy the company, and this will bring a lot more liquidity, a lot more interest to the company. And certainly it will make it much easier for investors to purchase shares. Even in other countries too, a lot of times they have to come in through the US and buy. So this is a huge move when you think about it, that perhaps it had 30 million potential investors, and now it has 300 plus million plus potential investors.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And obviously, thanks for sharing that with our investors. And before we get to some of the questions, we're live streaming here. As I mentioned to you a little earlier, we built it out from a couple platforms. We're on 6 different platforms now. And that's our team. This maybe to the viewers, customers, investors, shareholders, it just looks like a vodcast that we're just streaming, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes, right? Marian, who's really working on streaming to those 6 different platforms. Then we have Jonathan working on creatives, and Jacqueline working on the fun Christmas themes that we have now, and Alex. So with everything that we do, we really try our best to make it, as great as possible, and really give back, because we really respect that people are giving us their time. Not only are they trusting us with their dollars, which, that's a big thing, but they're also giving up their time to come join us on a Saturday morning live. If you're on the West Coast, more, afternoons, East Coast, we even have people from Europe joining us for their evening. And we see this base keep growing and growing. So we always encourage, Daniel, during our shows, once we have someone like yourself, and thanks again for taking the time here today, we want to make sure people send us their feedback. Are we giving them what they want in this show? Do they have live questions for Daniel? And how can we keep making this better? Our focus, our goal, we want this community to become massive on all sides. And one thing that I haven't really shared yet, which I think is kind of exciting, is being public. As we're growing on the public side, I actually see our sales growing even quicker on the organic side. So, you could always increase your sales on your platform, spending more money on pay-per-click, but we have a competitive advantage by sharing the story. All the investors who join us here then go share the story. They're buying products from us. And it's just great to see how this community is coming together. So please, guys, while we have Daniel here, send in your questions. Josh this week was very supportive of us from Boston. So thank you very much, Josh. We're going to be sending you a Monstera plant. That was a really popular one this week. So thank you guys for that. And back to you, Daniel. One question that just popped in, and I think it's a good one, and I don't even know if I know the answer to it. What's the difference between an OTC and an OTCQB or an OTCQX listing? What's the difference between all of these different kind of OTC listings?
So if it's just OTC, it could mean that it's pink or gray, which means there would be no market maker. So essentially, if you're familiar with investing, there would be no bid and ask. But most investors, if you just went to Yahoo Finance, put in the symbol, you would be able to see what the most recent buy order is. And you put a limit order in and it'll catch it either way. If you have the QX or QB, there's definitely going to be a market maker there. And it sometimes potentially can provide more liquidity, but it also attracts more day traders, which you don't necessarily need day traders if you're trying to build a business. Because in the end, when you're buying a publicly traded company, you're buying a fractional share, an ownership of the company. And that's how I treat these companies. I don't treat them as a trade. I treat them as an owner. And, I'm not worried about what's happening day to day. I'm looking at the outcome and the objectives. So the biggest difference, though, is simply that there might not be a market maker, which might not mean anything to many people listening to this.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And one thing about you, to be completely honest, because I speak to a lot of different groups that want to bring awareness to the stock and all these things. And right away in that first conversation, it's always ask. The few times that we spoke, it was all about, I want to understand your company, Sean. And you really wanted to, it's not just about making a dollar off us. And you feel the connection. So I totally get what you just said, because I saw it when we spoke originally. And even when we went ahead and did this raise, I can't tell you, everybody wants a bought deal so they could trade the stock immediately. And how do they get out of it and make the warrant a tradable warrant so then they could short the stock and all these different things. You said, Sean, 4-month hold, beautiful. Let's go out there. Let's educate this community. Let's go out there. Let's get new eyes on the story. So I definitely saw that when we've been speaking, which was such a great feeling, totally refreshing. That from the opposite side, where you're saying you looked at us as a management team, from me sitting on the inside looking out, it felt great as well. So thanks for that. And then one other question here, and then we'll let you go enjoy. It looks like a beautiful day there in San Diego. DTC eligibility. Why is DTC? So people know now OTC, OTCQB, but how does DTC eligibility fit into that?
So DTC eligibility will open it up to a lot more brokers. There are a lot of brokers like a Merrill Lynch, which is 25% of brokerage accounts in the United States, because it's Bank of America Merrill Lynch, that will not allow you to purchase shares unless it has DTC eligibility. So that's another thing. You're just continuously opening yourself up to new investors, giving people an opportunity to be able to purchase shares through their online brokerage account.
Well, I had no idea about that. That's really, really interesting. So I guess one question from me, can a company that just has OTC but not OTCQB or QX, can they be DTC eligible?
If you're OTC on the pinks or grays, you cannot have DTC eligibility. So it's either QB or the QX that would have it.
Then you need okay, cool. And then Holger just wrote in, he just wanted to know how you go about finding companies to invest in.
So to be perfectly honest, I used to go out and look for them and go to conferences and try to find the right people that run them. At the current moment, I get pitched a lot of different deals. So they kind of come to me. And then what you'll find is I often try to, an easy way to really narrow it down, because there are so many different companies out there, is I try to find people that are on their second go around. So what I mean by that is, if I'm investing in a mining company, I want to know, has the guy had a successful mining company already? And if he has, that immediately shrinks that list. So a person like Sean with PlantX, has he built an e-commerce business before? Yes, check that list. He's also been in that environment for a long time. So immediately that weans it down, because what you'll find is anybody building one of these companies, they have to go through a lot of different things that they're going to learn, a lot of issues that they're going to come up with. It's much better for me to put and partner my money with people who've already done this. They're going to be much more confident, and they're also going to be able to find more liquidity. So what I mean by that, and I'll use mining as a great example, if you ever had a successful discovery in mining, in the mining business, and you fail, there's not going to be a lot of people there to write you a check to finance the company to keep it going. But if you've already made a discovery and made people money, people are if you don't have success initially, they're ready to give you another check. And so same thing, I'll bring that back to PlantX. If the company was to go through any sort of trouble, we have the confidence as investors to know that, hey, Sean's on it. He knows what to do. And if Sean called me up and said, hey, I need you to, let's get another financing going at $1.50 or $2. Hey, me and my friends, we're going to be there financing and supporting this company because we know we have a capable management team that knows what they're doing.
I think that's a great advice, Daniel, because we even see it on a bigger scale as well, right? If we look on the macro scale, a person like Elon Musk, everybody knows him as Tesla. People know him as now SpaceX, right? And why did people lend him on the private side? I think it's been multi-billions of dollars already to send spaceships to Mars, right? Which is pretty mind-blowing. We scale back to well over a decade ago, he started PayPal, right? Or had a big involvement in PayPal. And you look at that group of people who started PayPal, they've all went on to start unbelievable companies once again. So I think that's great on the big show, how that philosophy works even on this level as well. So I think that it was great, Daniel. We definitely took up some of your time here on a Saturday morning. We really appreciate everything. I'm very thankful for all the advice you've given us so far. You've been a huge support. Looking really forward to working with you and growing this company into something absolutely incredible. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Take care. So guys, that was Daniel Ameduri from Future Money Trends. Hopefully you guys learned something here this morning. And once again, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to join us. And I just want to share again, I was speaking to all of these really sophisticated investors this week, private individuals, private offices, family offices, and really educating them on our company. And what I thought was really, really cool about it was I'd speak to, for example, somebody at Mackey Research, and I would share the story with them. They would literally call me 5 more times in a single day to try to get me on the phone with other people because they're so excited about what we're building. And we're not just a brand, we are a platform welcoming all these new companies. Everybody's our partner. Typically, if you're a Beyond Meat, you're competing against Impossible, you're competing against Tomorrow Meat. There's endless now, and they keep coming out. And you're gonna love one of them, get into that brand and stay connected to that brand. Well, for us, we want you as a consumer to come, try something, be comfortable, say to yourself, your friends, family members, etc., that, wow, plant-based living does make me feel better. And that's why we introduced the medical advisory team last week, and we'll start launching that monthly show to educate you on plant-based living. So I just see the excitement. I've been part of many different industries in my e-commerce life of over 20 years, from technology to fashion to wellness, and now here to this incredible movement in the plant-based space. And one thing I could tell everybody who's watching here today, I've never seen, at least from my personal side of things, the excitement and the curiosity behind what we're building out and what we're doing. No matter if I'm speaking to somebody who's 16 years old or 85, they all have a story about this whole plant-based space and what's going on. So thanks again. Thank you for believing and trusting us. And till next week, stay curious, stay planted, stay healthy. Cheers.
So that's it for this episode of the PlantX podcast. Please check out www.plantx.com, the one-stop shop for everything plant-based and the digital face of the plant-based community. We have meal delivery, groceries, plant-based supplements and vitamins, and great ways to connect with like-minded individuals about the lifestyle we share. Stay healthy, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.